to be talking about how to market and sell to people not like you. Quick show of hands. How many of you are trying to do that, are trying to figure out how to market and sell to people not like you? You're already successful. Show of hands, let me see. Okay, like 3/4 of you. You're already successful. You're already successful with the customers and clients that you already have. So how much more successful could you be if you could reach the ones that you're not reaching but you could be reaching? And that's what we're going to be talking about here for the next 45 minutes. So we've changed. The whole reason that we're talking about people not like you is because we've changed as a society. Everybody here has heard the expression that America's a melting pot, right? We've all heard that expression, America's a melting pot. Well, we're actually not a melting pot anymore, and we are never going to be a melting pot again. Those days are gone. We are now a salad bowl. Let me explain the analogy. America's a melting pot is an expression that was coined in the early 1900s to describe what was happening to the United States relative to immigration. We had a huge wave of immigrants from all over the world, but particularly from Europe, Ireland, Italy, Poland, Germany. Many of your ancestors and mine came through Ellis Island, got processed as new arrivals, and the idea was that no matter who you were, where you were from, we threw you into one pot, we simmered away the differences, and everybody kind of came out the same, Americanized. We didn't value differences in those days, we valued sameness. Well, today, most organizations, business, and society in general recognize that diversity is a progressive mindset. We don't all have to look the same, be the same, dress the same, or come from the same backgrounds. So when you look at a salad, there's not one single element of a salad that can be mistaken for anything else. The tomato does not look like the radish does not look like the cucumber does not look like the avocado. Every element of a salad is distinctive, and we can see it for what it is. And most of us would agree that the more and different stuff you put into a salad, the better the salad gets. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you. Yeah. You're smart people, you get it. Okay, just a quick little level setting here before we dive into some of the tactics. 1 in 3 people now in the United States is not white. 1 in 3. Now, obviously this would vary by state. Places like California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, New York are way more diverse than, let's say, Vermont or New Hampshire or Idaho, right? But nevertheless, 1 in 3 is not white. And the census has been tracking diversity for the last few decades with what they call the diversity index. And it's very simple what this means. All it means is if I grab any 2 people at random, anywhere in the country, what's the likelihood that those 2 people will be of different races or ethnicities? That's all it means. You with me? So back in 1980, if I grabbed any 2 people at random, in the year 1980, anywhere, I had a 34% probability that those 2 people were going to be of different races or ethnicities. Or in other words, I had a 66% probability that they were going to be of the same race, that being white, because white is the predominant race in the United States. But look how fast it's changed. In just 3 decades, we've gone from a 34% probability to a 52% probability. Today, it's statistically more likely that any 2 people selected at random anywhere in the US are actually going to be of different races or ethnicities than the same. That's not a fad, that's a trend. The difference between a fad and a trend is fads come and go, like fashion. Trends don't come and go, they're shifts. And here's the updated number. As of July 2017, the diversity index in the United States is now 64. So you can see that not only are we becoming more diverse, we're becoming more diverse more quickly. In 10 years, between 2000 and 2010, the diversity index went up by 5 percentage points. In 7 years, between 2010 and 2017, it went up by 12 percentage points. Once again, a very clear trend. And it's not just about one race or ethnicity. We increasingly have more multiracial Americans as well. In fact, multiracial Americans are about 7% of the population. 7%. So if you're Mariah Carey or you're Tiger Woods and the census is asking you what race are you, what box do you check? If I'm not mistaken, Tiger is black, white, and Asian, and Mariah is black, white, and Hispanic. And by the way, is that not the most Photoshop picture of Mariah Carey you have ever seen in your life? She doesn't remotely look like that. I'm not sure she ever looked like that. Anyway, so now the census is now tracking multiracial Americans, and the percentage of whites is declining, not the number of whites. The number of any of us doesn't decline unless there's a plague that wipes us out, right? We populate, all of us. All groups populate. But the percentage of whites is declining. In the last 10 years, the percentage of whites in the United States dropped from 69% of the US population to 63%. That's a huge drop. And more importantly, whites will be the minority by the year 2041. Now, that may seem like that's a long way away, but that's 23 years from now. I do this presentation maybe 50 times a year. I know these numbers like the back of my hand, but if you would have asked me 5 years ago, Kelly, in your lifetime, do you think that you will live to see, whites become the minority? 5 years ago, just 5 years ago, I would have answered that question no. Not because I don't think that day is going to come, but because I would have thought I'm not going to live long enough to see that day. But I'm 56, that's 23 years from now. Assuming I can make it to 79, and I think there's every reasonable chance that I can, I will live to see that day. And so will all of you. Because I can look around, and I can see that everybody in this room is my age, give or take 20 years. Right? But it's not just racial and ethnic diversity. When we talk about people not like you, I want to go beyond this. We're changing in every way. We're changing politically. We're changing socially. We're changing fiscally, increasingly, a shrinking middle class in the United States, and we're changing religiously. We're changing in every way that we can possibly change. And it's your job and your duty to keep up with the changes. That's your job. How can you serve your customers if you don't know who your customers are or who they could be? So I want to talk a little bit about why I don't use this word, diversity. I don't use diversity. I use people not like you. And that's because, in my opinion, people tend to think very narrowly about diversity. They tend to default to racial and ethnic diversity. Right? I think my definition of diversity is any way you can be different from me. So you're looking at me, ma'am. Do you have children? She's got children. I don't. We're both women. We're both white. Let's just say we're the same age. I can tell you're a lot younger, but let's just go with me here, okay? So let's say we're the same age, the same race, the same gender. Let's say you and I live in the same zip code. Let's say we even make the same household income. By all of these demographic standards, you and I would look the same on paper, but you know and I know that if you have kids and I don't, we're going to be different in every way that actually really matters. She's going to make decisions differently than I am, and the pressures and priorities on her as a parent are different than those for someone like me. Our differences has nothing to do with gender, age, race, income, anything like that. It simply has to do with parenthood. So here's my list of diversity. Yours could be different. Gender. Men are different from women. I mean, comedians make their entire living riffing off of this, right? But it really is true. Women use something like 20,000 more words a day than men. Not kidding. My husband's always like, for you, it's like 60,000, Kelly. Yeah. All right, and what about religious differences, political views, age and generational differences? There's no doubt that somebody who's Gen Y or Gen Z is very different than someone who's a mature or a boomer. The LGBTQ community, by the way, just because I'm all about education, the Q does not stand for queer. The Q stands for questioning. Physical abilities, emotional abilities, mental abilities. How about this one? Rural versus metro, right? Someone who lives in a loft in downtown Houston, Texas, is very different than someone who lives on a ranch in West Texas, in a small rural community. How about military civilian? There's two totally different worlds. Physicians, administrators, and organizations, you know the differences better than anybody there. Right? Racial groups, and there's only 5. Everyone on the planet falls into one of these 5 races. Everything else is a label or a term. The 5 races are white, black, Asian, Native American, and Pacific Islander. Everybody is one of those. Everything else is a term or a label. Not necessarily bad or wrong or racist or anything. They're just not correct. So for example, there's no such race as Caucasian. There's no such race as Anglo. Those are terms that we use. These are the correct terms. Ethnic and linguistic. Hispanic is not a race. It's an ethnicity. Or if you're from India, then your race is Asian, but your ethnicity is Indian. How about nativity? I think somebody who's US born would look at the world with a very different lens than someone who's foreign born. Life stage, and who would know this better than you, right? New moms or dads are very different than retirees, college students, or empty nesters. How about white collar, blue collar? I was doing this presentation for Daimler Chrysler. They have a huge white collar, ivory tower executive a group of associates, as well as people who work in the plant assembling cars and trucks. And they're very white collar and blue collar. Professional level, somebody who's only been working for 6 months is very different than somebody who's been working for 20 or 30 years. Core values. If you take that plastic bottle of water, which good for you, recyclable, go green, okay? But if you take that plastic bottle of water, let's just say it wasn't yours, it was an actual bottle of water, and you toss it into the recycling bin versus the trash, that tells me something about you, right? It tells me maybe you're just trying to leave a smaller footprint, you're doing your part. If you homeschool your child versus sending them to public school or private school, that tells me something about you, usually about your values. How about even some obscure things like introverts versus extroverts? I'm an extrovert. My husband is an introvert. He hates people. Yeah. Creative versus analytic thinking. Anybody ever dealt with this? Your CPAs, right, your accounting people are very black and white. Things either add up or they don't. Your marketing people and graphic designers are much more conceptual, right? Working with people who are creative versus analytic. How about morning people versus night owls? Small business owner versus a large corporate executive. How about even regional differences? There's no doubt that somebody in the South is very different than someone in the North, or East Coast, West Coast. Life stage and family structure, as I mentioned. And I was doing this presentation one time, and this guy yells out from the audience. He goes, "I got one for your list." I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "Apple people versus Google people," right? So true. Any way that you can be different from me is my definition of diversity. And so that's why we're calling this session, How to Market and Sell to People Not Like You. So, how do you understand somebody who's different from you? The only lens that you have to look out at the world and understand the world is your lens, your frame of reference and your experiences. I will never know what it's like to be a guy. I don't yet know what it's like to be 80 years old. I don't know what it's like to be black, Hispanic, Asian, or Native American. I don't know what it's like to be a mom. I don't know what it's like to be in the military. I don't know what it's like to live on a farm. And I don't know what it's like to own a dog. These are things I don't know. But I promise you that that doesn't mean I couldn't meaningfully connect with somebody who is those things, has those things, does those things, lives that way. The way that you do that is by understanding that what makes you you isn't necessarily your age or the color of your skin or any of that. It's your priorities, your values, and the experiences that define you. That's what makes you you. And all of that shapes perspective, and perspective is never wrong. Your perspective is never wrong, her perspective is never wrong, his perspective is never wrong, either is mine, either is your boss, either is your customer. It's kind of like opinion. I can have a different opinion than you, and I can respectfully disagree with your opinion, but I can't tell you that your opinion is wrong. It's yours. You're entitled to any opinion you want. Same thing with perspective. So to give you a sense of how different perspective can be, when asked the exact same question, different people will respond in entirely different ways based solely on their perspective. When asked to name how Kennedy died, matures and baby boomers are both going to say, a gunshot wound in Dallas, right? Gen X will say, a plane crash near Martha's Vineyard. And Gen Y will say, Kennedy who? Or try this one. Who is Ron Howard? If you're a certain age, you're going to say, Opie. If you are a baby boomer like me, you are likely to say, Richie from Happy Days. And if you're Gen X or Gen Y, you are likely to say, an award-winning director. You see, everybody knows who Ron Howard is. The only thing that changes is how we know him, our perspective. And he's all of these things. None of these are right or wrong. They're all valid. It's all in how you see him. So, when you think about marketing to people or selling to people not like you, the key thing is that it's about pitching, not catching. It's not about waiting for something to fall into your glove. It's not about like, hey, come do some business with us, waiting for something to come to you. It's about going out and getting it. Games are not won necessarily on catching. They are won on pitching. So, 10 strategies for marketing and selling to people not like you. The first one is be relevant. Relevant sounds like it's sort of easy. I mean, ultimately what it means is figure out what people want and give it to them. That sounds simple, but it's not easy. Simple and easy are not the same thing. People confuse these words a lot. The simplest exercise in the world is the push-up. You lay on the ground and you push yourself up. You don't need any special gear. You don't need any special clothing. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need to go to a class. You just lay on the ground and you push yourself up. It doesn't get any simpler than that. But as you know, doing a push-up is not easy. So something can be simple but not easy. And this is simple but not easy, giving people what they want. But let me give you an example. So not to be sexist, but I'm going to direct this question to the women in the room because the facts of the matter are that women shop more than men. So ladies, do we all agree that Target rocks? Does anyone here think that Kmart rocks? Right. So, and it's not just us. Kmart is circling the drain, okay? They're not going to be around that much longer. I've looked at this as a marketing person and been kind of flabbergasted by, the success of Target, the demise of Kmart, and I go, why is that? They sell a lot of the same stuff. I mean, if you want a Rubbermaid laundry basket, you can go get a Rubbermaid laundry basket at either place. They're probably priced within 10 cents of each other, so it's not like one of them has a price advantage. Why does Target inspire so much passion? Target, right? We love Target. You go in for shampoo, you come out $200 later, you don't even know what you bought, right? This doesn't happen with Kmart. I believe it's because what Target figured out is what we want. And what we want is not cheap stuff. What we want is style on a budget. Just because I'm on a budget doesn't mean I don't have good taste. Just because I'm on a budget doesn't mean I don't appreciate good design, right? So they have like cool candlesticks that look like they should cost $100, but they're $19.99. What style on a budget gives us is value with dignity. And here's a fact. Everybody likes to save money. I don't care how rich you are. You could be the richest person in the world and everybody likes a deal. What we don't like is being embarrassed about that deal or feeling shame. So they give us value with dignity. Let me give you an example. If you say to me, cute tank top, Kelly, I'm like, I know, $12, Target. I'm bragging about how little I spent, right? I'm like, $12, Target. Now imagine this. Cute tank top, Kelly, I know, $12, Kmart. No. It's got Kmart juice on it, no way. The only thing I changed in that sentence was the word Target to Kmart, but you actually laughed. You laughed when I said Kmart because it doesn't sound dignified. No one in their right mind would brag because there's no dignity involved in it. So the other thing that you want to do is relieve pain. I mean, unless you're totally into like 50 Shades of Grey and all that stuff, most of us actually don't like pain. Yeah, most of us, especially in business, run away from pain and we run toward those businesses that make our lives better and easier. So relieving pain is important from a business standpoint. The thing is, everybody's got different pain points. You got to figure out what your customers' pain points are. So for example, women want security and great personal service. I'm not suggesting that men don't, but women place a very high premium on this. So have you ever had a chip in your windshield? You ever had a chip in your windshield and those companies that will come out and fix your windshield? They will come to your home or office. They will do all the paperwork for you for your insurance or whatever. It's a fabulous service. You don't have to lift a finger. They come to you. But Safelite Auto found that women, and particularly single women, were actually extremely uncomfortable with the idea of some strange guy coming to their house. They were like, now this guy knows where I live, and now he knows I live alone. The very thing that was a service, or is a service, actually becomes a point of anxiety for single women. They're like, I'm not really sure I want this guy to know where I live and that I live alone. So now what they do, once they've learned that insight, is when you make an appointment with Safelite, they email you a photo of the technician. Now you know what this person looks like. Now you can see that he or she is going to come between 2 and 4, and now they're not so scary. They address the pain point. Men hate ironing. Do you know this? You do? Yeah, you hate it. Women hate it too. We'll do it. You guys won't even do it. So Omni Hotels found that men despise ironing, and that men, particularly businessmen, would go to extraordinary lengths to avoid busting out the iron. They would buy a new shirt in the city that they travel to. They would steam it in the shower for 45 minutes trying to get the wrinkles out. Anything to avoid busting out the iron. Well, if that's the pain point, then why would Omni want to say, well, when you join our frequent guest program, we'll give you 500 points a night here, and 500 points a night there, and 500 points a night here? Why not give people what they want? So when you join their select guest program now, you get two garments pressed at no charge. Solve a problem. Obviously, anybody can take advantage of that, but it was designed to alleviate the pain point for men. IKEA assembly sucks, right? Seriously. Has anybody ever put oh my gosh, you have to medicate yourself before you do it. It's just like, yeah. So not kidding. Last year, the New York Times did a tongue-in-cheek article about how IKEA was personally responsible for more couples breaking up than anything else. Seriously, if you do this with your significant other, you are going to have a fight. It's true. So everybody loves IKEA. Their furniture is great. Their style is great. Certainly the price point is great. The pain point comes from, I don't know how to assemble this stuff, and it's impossible, and nobody wants to do it, and we're going to have a fight. So they bought TaskRabbit this past year, and now it's a vertically integrated company where when you buy your furniture at IKEA, they can assemble it for you too. I don't know what took them so long. 3, this one's hard, folks. This one's really hard. The biggest companies in the world still get this wrong. You have to figure out your fab, and this is not easy. I'm just telling you up front that if you struggle with this, you're not crazy, you're not doing anything wrong. This one's hard. Figure out your fab. Your fab is not your fabulousness. Your fab is your features, your attributes, and your benefits. Now, I'm going to walk you through what the difference between these are because this is where people get confused. What's a feature? What's an attribute? What's a benefit? Let me give you an example that you might be able to relate to. My car. My car has a feature that your car probably has, which is called Bluetooth. That is a feature my car came with. The attribute, meaning what it is or what it does, is hands-free talking. But I don't care about Bluetooth, and I don't care about hands-free talking. The only thing I care about, and the only thing your customers and prospects care about, is the benefit. And the benefit of hands-free talking is safety. You see, once I'm on the phone, if I'm in my car using my Bluetooth and I'm talking to Preston, I can talk with both hands on the wheel, and it's a safer drive. That's why I care. Let me give you one more example. Many of you flew here. And so if you've ever flown on some of these large international airlines, they'll talk about their lay-flat seats, right? You see this all the time. Enjoy our new business class lay-flat seats. That's a feature of the aircraft. The attribute, again, what it is or what it does is it replicates as closely as possible a real bed, right? You with me? But the benefit is arrive rested. If I'm going to London, I'm either going for business or I'm going for pleasure. Either way, I would like to arrive not destroyed. I would like to arrive as rested as possible. And this lay-flat bed that replicates a real bed allows me to do that. So here's the difference between feature, attribute, and benefit. Feature is what? Attribute is how it works or why, or what it is. And benefit is why should I care? Or why should your customer care? And in marketing, start with the benefit and work backwards. And this is hard because especially a lot of times your bosses want you to push the product. And the product is important. That's the feature. But start with why does somebody care about this product? What does our product do? What problem does it solve? Or what does it give them? Start with the benefit and work back from there, and you'll get where you need to go. But you see this kind of thing all the time. Even some of the largest companies in the world market their features and their attributes without ever translating it for the customer into why they should care. Use consumer insights. The following 2 slides are going to change your life, and I'm not overselling. Okay, so if you have been drifting, please pay attention here because this is when it all becomes rainbows and unicorns from here on out. The rest of your life is going to be so easy. I'm not overselling. How to work with women and how to work with men. Or how to sell to women and how to sell to men. All right, here we go. Women value expansive choices and seeing all of our options. We are not overwhelmed when we are presented with lots of options. It's actually the opposite. We feel empowered. I can look at 175 different colors of blouses, and I know I want the tangerine one, and I'm 100% confident in that decision because I looked at all 175, and that's the one I want. I know what I want. Men, on the other hand, want their choices simplified. I'm sorry, you guys, but there's a reason your clothes only come in 3 colors. Black, navy, khaki. Look at you. Seriously, there's not a single guy in this room. Oh, you're wearing a little bit of salmon there. Okay, whoa, got to be me, right? But all the rest of this is a sea of black, navy, khaki, right? Salmon dude. Okay, so I think it's going to be a nickname that's going to stick. It's just one of those things, yeah. So here's the thing, all kidding aside, the magic number for men is 3. This is not Kelly science, this is real science. The magic number for men is 3. 2 is not enough choice, 4 is way too much. Don't overwhelm a guy, right? So fun fact, men buy more electronics than any other consumer group. More flat screens, more cameras, more phones, more iPads, more stuff. More electronics than any other consumer group. Have you ever noticed that when you go shopping for electronics, all of the pricing is done in groups of 3? Even stuff that's not electronics that is heavily marketed to men, like tires, is done in groups of 3. Why? Because it works. So here's how you would use this in business. I'll pick you, Blondie, and you, all right? So let's just say, what's your name? Kaylee? Kaylee is my boss, all right? Kaylee is my boss, and you, sir, your name? Sam. Kaylee and Sam, 2 different scenarios. Kaylee is my boss, she's a woman. So let's say Kaylee says, Kelly, I want you to scope out venues for our forum summit next year, the one that's going to be in Chicago that Preston mentioned. Okay, let's just say that I work for her and she's wanting me to go do site evaluations, and then she wants me to report back to her. What I would do with Kaylee is I would come and say something like, Kaylee, I've got 12 different sites that I looked at. I'm probably going to need 90 minutes of your time. Let me know when you've got some time in the next week so I can walk you through all of these. And with Sam, if he was my boss, the exact same assignment, I would say, Sam, I looked at 12 different properties. Let me know when you've got 45 minutes. I want to walk you through my top 3 recommendations. Do you see what I did here? First of all, I want to get credit for the work that I did, so I made sure that I let him know that I had done the work and gotten 12. So he knows I've done due diligence. I haven't just cut corners. I've got 12, but I want to walk you through my top 3 recommendations. You can take this to the bank. So in marketing, if you are marketing, you want to market your 3 most popular products, your 3 newest products to men, your 3 best payment plans or whatever. And if you are marketing to a woman, give her everything. Seriously, she'll be patient with that. You can even use this in your real life. I manage my husband totally differently ever since I learned this. So let me just give you a little tip. Here's what it's like at our house on a Friday night. Maybe it's like this for you too. We've had a long week. We're tired. It's Friday night. We're wiped out. And it goes like this. What do you want to do about dinner? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Do you want to go out or do you want to stay in? I don't know. Do you want to go out or do you want to stay in? If we went out, where would we go? I don't know. Are you craving anything in particular? Not really. If we stayed in, what would we have? I don't know. Do we even have anything here? Right? 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 So now, I don't do this. We would just go around and around and around in this pointless circular argument or conversation for 10 minutes going nowhere, only making things worse. So now, I take matters into my own hands, and this is what Friday night is like now. I go to him and I go, Thai, Mexican, or burgers on the grill? And he's like, burgers on the grill. Done. You're welcome. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. Okay, millennials prefer pets over people. Enough said. No, seriously. I mean, this is just the consumer insight. What can I add to this? Enough said. They'd also rather join a cause than a club. Here's why. Clubs are exclusive. Clubs exclude people, right? You're either a member of the club or you're not. But causes include people. Anybody can join a cause. Anybody can be part of something bigger than themselves. So when you're trying to reach out to millennials in a more effective way from a heart standpoint, and let me tell you something, if I can get into your heart and your values, I can get into your wallet. Because people spend money on what they value. So think about causes, and the causes that your companies support, you're already supporting things. You just need to let people know that, because this really matters to people. Give people what they want. I started this with Target and Kmart giving people what they want, but let me give you some other examples. Some of the largest companies that you know very, very well actually modify their products and services and their offerings to give people what they want. Macy's is the largest department store that we have in the United States. Even Macy's doesn't sell the same stuff everywhere. If you go to Salt Lake City, you will find a larger selection of large, oversized cookware in Salt Lake City than anywhere else. Why? Because Salt Lake City is home to the largest Mormon population in the United States. A key tenet of Mormonism is larger family sizes as a whole, and another key tenet of Mormonism is eating family meals together. So if you have a family of 6 or 7, it is going to be a whole lot easier to make scrambled eggs in a large, oversized skillet than it is to make it in a small one and make it twice. If you go to Atlanta, which is home to one of the largest black populations in the United States and one of the most devout church-going populations in the United States, you will find a larger selection of women's clothing in white and church hats, because many black women choose to wear white to church and church hats. So while Macy's sells church hats everywhere, you're going to find a larger selection of them in Atlanta. If you go to Seattle, which is home to the largest Asian population in the United States, Macy's sells more clothing that have a shorter inseam for both men and women, because many Asians are shorter in stature than non-Asians. So you've got the different products catering to the different customer segments. Even Burger King adjusts its menu. Just a quick aside, I did the Burger King franchise meeting last year. I did the keynote for them, so you got 3,500 franchisees all in a room. They thought it was hysterical that my last name is McDonald. Seriously, they're like, we got Kelly McDonald at Burger King. Yeah. So I'm up after the president of Burger King goes up, and in the fast food business, they're making their money 2 ways these days. One is coffee, right? You know, all these coffees or whatever. And the other one is breakfast. And even Burger King, a large global company, does not sell the same stuff everywhere. In New York City, their breakfast sandwich is served on bagels, and in Birmingham, that same sandwich is served on biscuits. So you start to see how companies are just tweaking, just modifying a little bit their products and services to give people what they want. You also have to foster a culture of empathy. Your greatest marketing efforts and sales efforts to market to people not like you can fall flat if your own people blow it. But if you have empathic employees, they won't blow it. So you want to foster a culture of empathy, and to that I would offer to you a suggestion, and that is, when possible, hire the right person, not necessarily the resume. Now, clearly, if you need a CFO, you need a CFO. But many of us have teachable jobs, especially at more junior levels. And I don't know about you, but one of the things I've learned in my time on this planet is that I would rather hire the right kind of person who has good judgment, a good head on their shoulders, resilient, customer-centric, you know, all that, than to hire somebody who has 3 to 5 years of relevant experience and hope that I get the right kind of person, right? Don't be afraid to that end to recruit from new ponds. I just used Macy's as an example. Let's say you go to Macy's and you buy a shirt, and the person waiting on you is awesome. And you know awesome service when you get it, because it's becoming increasingly rare, right? So I don't know, I'm almost skeptical a little bit. When somebody's like super nice to me, I'm like, why? Right? What do you want? Yeah, I'm so used to getting bad service that I don't actually have my expectations high anymore. But when someone is amazing at what they do, it really stands out. And what I would say to you as executives is, what's wrong with when you encounter someone who is awesome? What's wrong with offering your business card to that person and saying, I really like your approach. You're awesome. If you ever want to make a change, I would love to talk to you. You haven't promised anything. You haven't promised a job. You've said, if you ever want to make a change, I would like to talk to you. The thing is, awesome people are awesome everywhere. They are not selectively awesome. They are not going to be awesome on Monday and suck on Thursday. They're not going to be awesome at one job and suck at another job. They bring the awesomeness. Think about the people that you've worked with in your life who are awesome, who are just a pleasure to work with. Not only are they competent, but they're just great people. If you think about them, they're great people, period. They just bring that to work. Awesome people are awesome everywhere. It's in their DNA. Hire awesome. So the other thing about empathic people is that they're attuned to subtleties. This is my Starbucks barista. Her name is Brianna Ridgemore. She is so awesome that I actually wrote about her in my last book. And she and I got talking about giving people what they want with the customer experience and all this. And she's like making me coffee one day, and she's talking to me, and she goes, oh, I know. I totally have to do that all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, not to be dismissive, but I'm thinking, it's coffee. How different can it really be? You're making cups of coffee. How can the experience be that different? And she goes, oh, let me tell you a story. So she tells me about this guy that comes in. We all know this guy. He's everywhere. And he's everywhere at Starbucks, right? So, yeah. He's on his phone. This guy finds himself very attractive. Yeah. And he's Mr. Important, and he's like all full of himself, and he's on his phone, blah, 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 blah. Right? Any reasonable person going to Starbucks on the phone would actually get to the counter and say, hang on a second, put the phone down for just a second and then order, right? And then resume their conversation. That's what a reasonable person would do. But no, not this guy. He's way too self-important, right? So he's like, blah, 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 blah. And he goes up to the counter, doesn't take a breath, blah, 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 and starts pointing at the menu, what he wants. And Brianna's like, really? That's how this is going to go, okay. So she's trying to figure out what he's pointing at, and he can't be bothered to, tell her. Blah, 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 blah. And she figures out that he wants a macchiato or something. So then she's like, all right, two can play this game. So she says, or she goes, he points to the grande, the medium, and then she's like, and he's like, right? So without a word, she figures out he wants a grande macchiato, no whipped cream, right? This is the whipped cream. He doesn't want that, right? This goes down seriously without a word. So the whole time she's making his drink, she's thinking, jerk, jerk, jerk. She's hating on this guy. And then he tips her fat. And she's like, Next day, a dude comes in still on the phone. Guy is still on the phone, right? She's like, for the love of God, here we go again, right? She doesn't remember his drink, so she's like, and so he's pointing again, and she's like, okay, macchiato, and so, grande, right? Whipped cream, nope, he doesn't want that. Boom, once again, he tips her fat. By the third day, this guy comes in, and by the third day, you don't forget a guy like this, right? By the third day, she's got it. He comes in, and they don't even have to go through the whole pantomime thing. She just kind of looks at him, and she's like, and he's like, yeah. And he tips her fat. And what she told me is, she said, in the beginning, I thought this guy was the biggest jerk I'd ever met in my life. And she goes, what I came to believe is, I don't know what this guy does for a living, but he's on the phone. Every morning he's on the phone. For all I know, he's got a conference call with, Bangladesh or whatever. He's on the phone. And the reason he tips her fat is not because she's giving him a good cup of coffee, because what she's really giving him is speed and efficiency. He doesn't have to take a single breath in order to get what he wants, and he's willing to tip her fat for that. He wants speed and efficiency. Now, that little old lady who comes in the afternoon, she doesn't want speed and efficiency, right? She's lonely. She wants somebody to talk to. And Brianna is sensitive enough and empathic enough to get that. And she said, I understand that lady too, and I try to give her as much time and attention between customers as I can. That's an empathic employee. That's an awesome employee. I don't think you can teach that. I think awesome people are what you have to get. So, be the good guys. You already are the good guys. There's all kinds of good things that you do. But one of the things that's super important is you need to let people know that you're the good guys. It doesn't matter what you do, let people know. You could be doing a blood drive once a year at your office, or planting trees by the side of the road in your state, or picking up trash by the side of a lake or a stream or an ocean or a river. This is a 5-star chef at a beautiful hotel that is helping disadvantaged kids who have never baked a cookie in their lives decorate cookies. It doesn't matter what you do. The point is, doing good is the new cool. People want to see your soul. They know that you have great products and services, but they want to make sure that they're doing business with the good guys, and this matters. And it doesn't cost you a dime. If you don't already have this, I would have a spot on your website, a tab that says community involvement, and just put your community good deeds up there. Pay attention to trends, but do not pay attention to fads. Remember, fads come and go, like fashion, but trends don't go. The reason that you should not pay attention to fads is because by the time you're actually on them, they're usually already gone or about to be gone. But trends are shifts. So here's a couple of key macro trends. The first one is that social is everything. And I'm not just talking about social media, duh, we know that. I'm talking about our desire to stay socially connected under all circumstances. So is there anything in the whole world that is less social than doing business with a vending machine? Yeah. You go up, you put your money in, you press a button, it dispenses something. There's no human interaction involved. Well, Pepsi's trying to change that with the Pepsi social vending unit. I don't know if you've seen one of these, but I go up, I swipe, I put my money in, $2, I get my Diet Pepsi, and the next question that it asks is, do you want to send your friend a drink? Yeah! I totally want to send my friend a drink. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic idea. You, what's your name? Jay, I'm going to call you Mike. So, took a while. I'm going to go with Mike. So, Jay and I are friends. Jay has had a tough week. I am going to send him a little Kelly love, let him know I'm thinking about him. Almost a Friday, Jay, you can do it, right? I'll spend $2 on my friend Jay, and because I've got his phone number in my phone, I swipe, and I put Jay's number into the Pepsi social vending unit, and shazam, he gets a text that says, hey, Jay, Kelly sent you a gift. Use this code to redeem at the nearest Pepsi social vending unit. How cool is that? This is what I call surprise and delight, and it's surprise and delight for both me and Jay. I was surprised and delight because I was just going to go get myself a drink, and I was given a fun way to do something fun for my friend. It's surprise and delight for Jay because he's going to be sitting in some boring healthcare meeting somewhere, right? And he's going to get a cool text under the table that says, Kelly sent you a drink, and it's going to put a smile on his face. I'm waiting, Jay, for them to come up with the margarita machine. Kelly sent you a drink. Yeah. So the other thing is that there's new products that actually foster this desire to stay socially connected even on little levels like that. I want you to think for 1 minute, just take 1 second, and think about the umbrella that's in your car. Think about the shape of that umbrella, what it looks like when it's open. The design of the umbrella has not changed in hundreds of years, literally. Hasn't changed one bit in hundreds of years. Why? Because the umbrella is perfect the way it is until now. Now we have this. What do you need that for? So you can do this, right? Lord knows I am not going to stop texting Jay just because it's raining, right? Got to keep going. Got to stay socially connected. Here's another trend. Selfie sticks, right? You think they're dorky until you see how amazing your pictures are. So can I just do a quick selfie 101, teach you how to take an amazing selfie? The women all know this. It's really for the benefit of the men. Do you want this? Who doesn't want this, right? Okay. How to Look Amazing in a Selfie by Kelly McDonald. How to look amazing. Okay, not just good, amazing. Okay, first let's start with what not to do. If you want to make yourself look hideous, there's only one thing you have to do, and again, the women all know this. Only one thing you have to do, and that is hold the phone down here and look down. You're going to look like you have 80,000 chins and a troll living under a bridge. It's not a flattering angle. It's not how you look. It's an unflattering angle. Conversely, here's how you make yourself look amazing in a photograph, in a selfie. Excuse me, I have to get into position. Just a second. It's not just out, it's out and up. In the same way that this is an unflattering angle, the higher you go, the better you look, okay? You are taller, you are skinnier, you are smarter looking. It's amazing. Everything looks better at this angle. The problem is, oh, and here's the advanced class. Up and out, and the advanced class. Circle for light. Boom! There's always one amazing light angle. Do not settle for the first light angle. Do the circle and fill it. Yeah. Seriously. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not a skinny girl, but if you friend me on Facebook, you're going to think I'm 30 pounds lighter than I am because I actually look so skinny. When I show up at these things, people can look at me and they're like, yeah. But it's because I've learned how to take an amazing selfie, okay? So here's the deal. I don't give a flip about selfies. The selfie stick gives me the extra, 14 inches, 24 inches or whatever that makes me look amazing, and it's great for group shots. But I don't give a flip about selfie sticks, and I don't even give a flip about selfies. Why do we take selfies in the first place? To share them. You're not Kim Kardashian. You don't just take a selfie and look at yourself all day and go, I'm so hot, right? You take a selfie so that I can go, here I am with Preston at the conference. Boom, put it on Instagram, right? Send it over to you, post it on Facebook, whatever. Wish you were here. We take selfies so that we can share them. We share them with our networks. We share them with our loved ones. We share them with our groups on social media. That's what selfies are for. Selfie might be a fad. The trend behind it, though, is sharing, and that's not going to go away. And if you ever want to see the power of sharing and selfies, I give you this, Justin Timberlake getting into the crowd at the Super Bowl. You don't think that made that kid's life? And if you still don't believe me, I offer you the first selfie statue outside of Houston, Texas, in Sugar Land, a suburb of Houston. And please note, this is not a selfie statue that's in front of an H&M store. It's in front of the courthouse. So this is here to stay. Sharing and the way that we share our pictures and our images of ourselves and what we're doing in our lives are here to stay. Another macro trend is mass is out and customization is in. Let's talk about McDonald's real quick. There is no better brand that I can think of that has put their stake in the ground for decades on mass. On mass. They're not just about speed and efficiency, they're just about mass. And their entire business model is predicated on this. They don't even offer you their entire menu if you go into McDonald's anymore on their menu board. It's just combo number 1, combo number 2. I mean, it's all designed to just be like, we're going to make 6 sandwiches and we're going to put a ton of them out there. So McDonald's is changing their tune. And they're going to customize sandwiches. You go up to the kiosk now and you pick your bread, and there's like 6 different kinds of bread. Then you pick your protein, then you pick your toppings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This process takes about 6 minutes. 6 minutes in their world is a lifetime, and the sandwich is $7 by the time you're done, not $2. When McDonald's is changing their entire business model with 500,000 franchisees across the country and moving from mass to customization, that is not a fad. That is a clear trend. So customization isn't just cool. We all want stuff the way we want it. Who doesn't want something customized? It can be very good for business. Soft drinks in the United States have been on an 8-year decline for 8 straight years, year over year over year. Doesn't matter what brand. We have a lot of choices if you're going to drink non-alcoholic stuff. We can drink soft drinks, we can drink Red Bull, we can drink Arizona iced tea. The list goes on and on, water. Soft drinks have been on a steady 8-year decline until last year when Coke came out with the Names campaign. Suddenly, everybody's name was on a can of Coke. Who doesn't want to see their name on a can of Coke? Everybody does. Here's what happened. They started with traditional American names like David and Michael and Jennifer and Sarah. And what happened next was something they never anticipated. What happened next was people started responding like crazy, and they were starting to get emails, Facebook posts, notifications where people would say, hey, my name's Julia, spelled G-I-U-L-I-A, or my name's Arav. I never see my name on a can of Coke. Can I have a can of Coke? And what's Coke going to do? Go, sorry, this is just for the Michaels and Davids and Jennifers and Sarahs. No, of course not. They were inclusive. So they said, send us your name. Send us your name, we'll make you a can of Coke. No matter what your name is, send us your name, we will make a can of Coke for you. So if your name is Bort, there's a can of Coke for you. Then this thing started taking on a life of its own. It was getting so popular that they actually started playing into it then with ads that said, what's your name? Look to the left of this. Look center and to the left. Look at how many ways you can spell Abby. A-B-B-Y, A-B-B-I-E, A-B-B-I, A-B-B-E-Y. There's a million ways to spell everybody's name. What's your name? Then they started really having fun with it, and around the holidays they were doing this, right? So Donner, Prancer, Francer, Dancer, Schmancer, whatever. I don't have kids. Sort of vaguely remember this stuff. Right? And if this one doesn't move you, then you have no soul. Because shouldn't everybody be able to read their name on a can of Coke? Now, this is cool, and everybody went, oh, okay. But my point was this lifts business, and it does, and it did. Because for the first time in 8 years, the sales of Coca-Cola did not just halt the decline, actually reversed it. Nothing else changed. The product was exactly the same. The distribution was exactly the same. The pricing was exactly the same. The only thing that changed in this entire scenario was the packaging and the customization. And it halted and reversed an 8-year decline. Customization is what people want. And also people want to see the real. You know, we really don't want to see perfection anymore. We want to see people who look like us. There's a reason why every ad you're ever going to see in your life for retirement services features people with gray hair. Because when you're at that stage of your life where you have gray hair, you are thinking about retirement. Those images look like you. You don't think about that stuff when you're 25. You do think about it when you're 45, 55, and so on. So people want to see the real real. Cheerios is the #1 selling cereal that we have in the United States. Did you all see this ad last year with the interracial couple? If you didn't, here's how it goes. White mom, black dad, adorable little girl. And the little girl says, Mommy, why do we eat Cheerios? And Mommy says, because it's good for Daddy's heart. And then the little girl goes into the living room where Daddy's laying on the couch napping, and she pours the whole box of Cheerios on his chest, right? Because it's good for his heart. That was it. That was the ad. It was cute. That's how it ended. They didn't go, and check out our cool interracial family. They didn't have to. They just showed a family. Honey Maid, the nation's only graham cracker? Have you ever thought about it? Honey Maid, who's with me? We're going to start a new graham cracker. Honey Maid is doing a campaign right now that features no actors and no models, nothing but real people, and specifically real families. And their tagline is a wholesome snack for all wholesome families. And one of the families that they feature is a gay couple with children. Wholesome dadvertising from Honey Maid. Now, nobody is doing this to pander to a group. They're doing it because it works. Here's more. Companies are adapting and realizing that when they put the real real out there, it actually drives business. 40% of people 18 to 35 have 4 or more tattoos. Not a tattoo, 4 or more. 60-some% have a tattoo. So my point as a marketer is, if an entire generation has ink, then when are we going to start showing people what they really look like? Well, there's a bank in Philadelphia, and banking is not exactly the most cutting edge of industries. No, they're really pretty slow to get there. They're a little more conservative, you know. And this is a bank in Philly. It says Philly's most advanced neighborhood bank. I believe the word advanced here is code for progressive. They tend to have a very urban footprint. So they're going to cater to people who are young and single and more urban in the city center. So it makes sense that this woman's haircut is kind of edgy. But look at her left arm. She doesn't just have ink, she has an entire sleeve. And they have an entire campaign that features people, and specifically women, with ink. Because that's what their customers look like. And they're putting the welcome mat out for those customers and saying, we see you, we get you, we value you, we want your business. CoverGirl embraces diverse beauty. CoverGirl now has their first Muslim model. If you're an observant Muslim woman, you cover your hair. If you cover your hair, then when I look at you, all of the focus is on your eyes and your lips. And fashion-forward Muslim women want to look just as attractive as anyone else, and so they're focusing their Muslim marketing efforts on mascara. CoverGirl also has the first cover boy. Many of the women in this room probably know who he is. He was discovered on YouTube because he has like 11 million followers. He does the most amazing makeup tutorials, and CoverGirl finally realized makeup isn't just for women. CVS has banned photoshopping in its beauty ads. How awesome is that? Right? We try to buy beauty products or healthcare products or health products, and we have no idea if the promises that they make are even attainable, right? So now they're not going to do that anymore. You are no longer going to see this. You are now going to see this. And I would give anything to look like that for 1 hour. Just 1 hour. I was actually doing this presentation, and this guy yells out from the audience, he goes, what's the difference? I mean, that's how beautiful this woman is on the right naturally. She doesn't need any photoshopping. So she's got a little mole on the side of her face or, you know, some wispy hairs that weren't photoshopped out, whatever. She's gorgeous. But we want to see the real real. You know this brand, Brawny Paper Towels. Since when is being strong just something for men? Brawny now salutes strong women. Strength has no gender. Who's your shero? I tell you what, I know some really strong women, and I'll tell you what, one shout out to all the single parents in the room, men or women, but particularly single moms. You talk about doing it yourself. I'm not a mom, but I have some friends who are single moms. They work harder than anybody I know, and they're my sheroes. The new Gerber baby is real and also irresistible. This was the Gerber baby for like the last, 75 years, which that baby freaks me out. Because that's not even a baby. I've never seen a baby look like that in my life. It looks like some alien that's going to spew something horrible on me. Anyway, it gives me nightmares. So the Gerber finally woke up and went maybe we actually might want to put a real human being in our ads. And they chose not only an adorable baby, they chose a baby that has Down syndrome. Is that not the most irresistible, adorable baby you have ever seen? High time. High time. Speaking of Down syndrome, Target ads feature kids with Down syndrome. Target makes its money, its key money, its core money, its greatest money on children's clothing and children's toys. Don't all children wear clothing? Don't all children play with toys? I've told you how old I am. I'm 56. What I think is awesome is in my lifetime, I have seen a shift. And that is that there was a time in my lifetime when children like this were hidden away. And we don't hide them away anymore, right? We celebrate them. So go Target. So keep it short. This is another macro trend. How many of you have so many extra hours in the day you just don't know what to do with yourself? And you're like, I wish somebody would give me more to do, right? Now, nobody's got any time. Time is the one thing that we can't do anything about. So what you want to do is keep everything that you're doing from a marketing standpoint short. Have you heard of listicles? Listicles are lists that are masquerading as articles. You've seen this. Top 20 places to retire, right? 5 tax tips to know right now, you know? And you open up the article, and it's actually not an article. It's like maybe 1 or 2 sentences, and then it's just a list. But the reason that they're popular now, and it's the fastest growing form of journalism, is because nobody actually reads anymore. What we just want to do is skim, right? So if that's the fact, then as marketing people, or doing marketing or selling to anybody that you want to work with, then keep your marketing messages short. YouTube videos. When YouTube first came out, their advice was to keep your videos at 9 minutes or less. 9 minutes. Oh my gosh. That would say, like, there's no way. Now it's like 3 minutes and preferably 2. Keep it short. Your voicemails, even keep your voicemail short. Just like, Joe, great news, call me. If you say great news, someone will call you right back. Seriously. I tell people that even when I don't have great news. Emails. Let me ask you this. How many of you, when I send you a big, long, honkin' email, 18 paragraphs, you know, big, long, honkin' email, what do when you open that up? Close it. You might delete it, but you're definitely going to close it. You know why? You're going to read that later. No, you're not. No, you're not. Here's why. Here's why. You're gonna, it's intimidating. You open it up and you're like, ugh, this is a big, long email from Kelly. I'll read this later, you tell yourself. You're not going to because it looks like work. And I don't mean your occupation. I mean like it looks like a chore. Like, ugh, I've got to have the headspace for this. I've got to have another cup of coffee or something before I tackle that one. No one wants to read a big, long, honking email. So my point is, if you are taking the time to email a customer, a prospect, a colleague, a vendor, whatever, if you're taking the time to compose an email, don't you want it read? So don't do this. Would you like to read that? Or would you rather read that? White space and bullet points are your friend. This is the same email. Take the white space and use it to break up the paragraphs and use bullet points. Because when you open it, or when your colleague or client opens it, they will see that it's visually pleasing and they can skim it very quickly and they will actually read it. This is how you get business done today. Nobody wants your big, long, honking email. Nobody. You don't even want it. And lastly, helping beats selling. We're talking about how to market to people not like you and how to sell people not like you. At the end of the day, helping beats selling. If you help me, you're going to sell me. And if you help me, you don't have to sell me. There was a focus group where there was a guy that was about 28 years old, and this is just one of those verbatims you hear in a focus group that just clicks for you. And he said, we don't need any more information. We have this thing called the internet. What we need is guidance. And that's the business, if you think about it, that we're all in. Information is out there. What we want is someone to guide us to the products or services or best practices that will save us time, save us money, make us more efficient, do employee engagement, whatever. That's what you're really selling, is your breadth of expertise, your guidance. And that's what people will want forever. They never want that to go away. So, has this been helpful? All right, I've been talking for a long time. Wait, it's your turn. It's your turn. I've been talking for a long time. We've talked about a lot of stuff. turn to your neighbor. If you don't know them, introduce yourself, make a new friend. If you're single like that, you can turn to the people right in front of you. And you have 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to identify one thing that we talked about here today that you can apply in your role. So don't dilly-dally. 3 minutes. May I please see the time? Good. Thanks. Are you the event photographer?
What's that?
Are you the event photographer?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to start throwing this out in the audience. It's the microphone, and we're going to have a nice little interaction. So it might be fun to get some pictures of it being tossed around, okay? Sorry. This is the last thing I'm going to teach you. When you are all talking like this, sharing ideas, and if I try to talk over you and go, okay, let's pull it together, you can't hear me because my voice is at the same frequency as yours. But if I go, shh, you can hear that above all else as you did. And you can bring a room of 2,000 people, not exaggerating, 2,000 people to complete and total silence in a matter of seconds. So the next time you're trying to pull a team together at work and everybody's like, you know, then just do that. And don't be doing it like a librarian. Don't be going, shh. Nobody wants that, okay? Right, just do it softly, shh, okay? So, real quick, do you guys know what this is? It's a microphone. It's a microphone in a Nerf ball. I'm going to throw this to you, and whoever catches it, it's not going to hurt you. It's like a Nerf ball. I'm going to throw this to you, and whoever catches it, you tell us what you talked about. There is no right or wrong here. You're in the safe zone. What's one thing that you learned here today? And then you're going to throw it to somebody else. You ready? Thank you. Somebody's ready. The rest of you are like, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Dude! Lawsuit. All right, sir. It should be on. Just speak into the microphone.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? I can talk really loud. Oh, there we
No,
go.
you got it. Okay, say who you are, who you're with, and real quick, tell us what you talked about.
Doug McBride from Madison Memorial Hospital in Rexburg, Idaho.
Doug, okay.
And yes, I was just very, very fascinated in when you were talking about the different cultures. Millennials are looking more for not the club kind of situation.
But the cause.
Yes, exactly.
So what can you do differently? How do you apply that in your role, Doug?
I think, we do a lot of community events within our hospital. We deal a lot with, different issues that are happening, such as mental health or things like that. And we can apply those principles very, very closely.
All right, give it up for Doug. Doug. Now, you stand up, you throw that to somebody else. Make sure they're looking at you before you throw it. Holy smokes, I almost decapitated him. Oh, there goes the microphone. All right, say who you are and who you're with.
Okay.
Tell us one thing you learned.
Lori Williams, University of Utah Help. I liked how you mentioned about the diversity, but you mentioned, was it people? You don't use the word diversity?
People not like you.
People not like you.
That's right.
And
how can you apply that?
And just realizing it's not, I think using that instead of diversity helps me see outside the race, but in different examples of everyone's various environments that they're in.
Lisa, right?
Lori.
Lori, give it up for Lori.
Thank you.
Lori, your turn. Throw it anywhere you want. Just make sure somebody's looking at you. Here it comes, folks. Lori's playing favorites. All right, throw it, Lori. All right, and then turn it right side up. Say who you are, who you're with. Speak right into the microphone. There you go. Say who you are, who you're with.
Hi, this is Stacy Kendall. I'm with Renown Health in Reno, Nevada.
Hello, Stacy.
Hello.
What'd you learn?
We talked about putting more information on our websites about causes that we do in the community.
Good.
And we also talked about different demographics in our areas.
Good.
And how we would apply that.
All right, great. Give it up for Stacy. Now, Stacy, wait. No one on this side of the room and no one on that side of the room has received the microphone, so I would ask you to toss one way or another. You can either go long or you can go short.
Okay, why don't you guess which way?
She's going short, folks. Here it comes. Boom! Judy, help. All right, somebody pick that sucker up and say who you are and who you're with.
I'm Lynn King, and I'm with Community Health Services of Georgia.
All right.
And what I came to the conclusion today is we always over-inform. And I think we need to find out what they need and provide the guidance. So,
Lori! All right, Lori, wait. You got to go long. You got to get it all the way on the other side of the room. No, you do. You do. You might need help if you don't have a long arm. You got to get over to this side of the room. Lori. She's not even listening. Lori, you got to go long. Throw it to all the way over here. She's being smart. Yeah, she's got it. Here it comes, folks. And action. Boom, yeah! Teamwork. That was well done, sir. Very well done. Nicely done.
Hi.
All right.
Hi, Donna Jones from North Carolina. We talked about using more listicles on our
That's
websites
right.
for our patients.
Awesome. Listicles. Give it up for Donna. Here's the other thing, too. You can write your own listicles, but if you happen to come across a listicle, I'm making this up. Let's say it's on CNN.com or some health forum or whatever, and you agree with that listicle, I mean, philosophically, and the principles and whatever the information they're sharing, there is nothing wrong with you posting that on your website as long as you credit the source. Right? That's all you got to do is credit the source so it doesn't look like plagiarism. But you can absolutely take others' listicles and repost them. So, I took a shot at it. I don't do what you do for a living, but here's just my shot. 5 things you can do right now that cost absolutely no money and don't take a year to get off the ground. Just things you can do right now. You can identify customer pain points and work to resolve them. Figure out what is clunky or difficult about working with you and try your hardest to figure out how to resolve those pain points. Like I said, IKEA can do it. If IKEA can figure out that people hate assembly and they finally figured out how to address that, you can do it. Use customer insights to sell differently, such as women like expansive offering and men like options in 3 and giving people what they want. Explore ways to customize your products, your services, or your offerings, however that might be. And using contemporary imagery. We don't need to see perfection anymore. What we're really gravitating to is authentic imagery that looks great. And focus on helping over selling. Remember, if you help me, you will sell me. Has this been helpful? All right, thank you. Tanya mentioned I have a book. I'm going to be around all day. Come see me afterwards. You have been a fantastic audience. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Chat Meter. Thank you, Chat Meter. Thank you.